So let's jump into yet again another Transformer Slag Patreon listener question. Once again, if you want to join the Transformer Slag podcast Patreon, let us know we're doing a good job and help support the podcast so we could keep this craziness up daily. Patreon.com/Protoman. What does the Patreon get you? It gets your name in the end credit scrolls at the end of every segment moving forward. You get access to the Discord. Our Discord is pretty awesome, actually, I'll be honest with you. Got a whole bunch of people. We break a lot of Transformer news there. You get a whole bunch of cool Transformers lore to download, all kinds of rare stuff there, and even the crazy sales thread where there's all kinds of sales on Transformer stuff all over the world. Get your hobby cheap. That's how I always see it. Depending on what level you are, you're also going to get a random gift box in the mail. I actually have to ship out one very soon. Easter kind of delayed that. But yes, you get some cool stuff in the mail too, depending on what tier you are in the Patreonage. And of course, today we have the Patreon listener question. And of course, we got an awesome question from JM Autobot, one of our longtime patrons. And JM wants to know, hey Proto, in your latest and greatest stream, you talked about how great Sakamoto's designs are. Many fans like me may not know him in detail. Can you tell us in a segment about his designs and his amazing contributions to the Transformer fandom? Thanks for everything you do, JM Autobot. Thank you for the kind comments. Yeah, I think it was my last Saturday stream, I probably touched up on Hayato quickly. I don't remember what I was talking about, to be honest. But I don't mind talking about Sakamoto-san. I mean, he's an awesome dude. I've known him for 8 years now, 7 years now or something. And it all happened by chance, really. It's one of those things where you know a guy, like, you know, in those early beginnings, and you don't know what he would then go on to become in a lot of ways. Hayato Sakamoto was originally a Transformers fanzine artist, which I always tell people, hey, if you're an artist and you want to one day work in Transformers in an official capacity, don't stop creating. And that's what he was doing. He was always at Wonder Festival doing Transformer fanzines, or doshinshis, as they're called. Dojinshis, excuse me, as they're called. His first real break with official Transformer stuff was he was actually an assistant under Yuki Oshima, Mr. Kissplay himself. And I always find assistants, they don't get enough credit that they do in the manga world. They, like, you know, there's so many like assistants that go uncredited behind some of the greatest mangas of all time. But so he worked under Yuki Oshima for a while during that Transformer era. And his biggest contribution during that time was Kissplay was pretty much essential into creating the established Generation 1 timeline on the Japanese side of things. And Hayato, who's an insane lore guy, just like me, and that's where me and him really connect, where it's all about filling the gaps and figuring out the timeline and the lore. He put together the official Generation 1 timeline on the Japanese side of things, the Japanese continuity, if you will. And that was like his first major contribution to Transformers, and it was a big one in my opinion. It put a lot of dates to things, and you could see that timeline in the Kissplay compilation graphic novel and stuff. It's on the back, and it has all the dates and everything, really cool stuff. His first, like, I guess, major break that people would have been familiar with is in 2013. He was brought on finally to do art, and it was that to write and draw the Creo comics in the Japanese side. And he did that for, I believe it was like 2 years. And that's where me and him actually made our first real connection. Was he was doing these comics for a while. I loved the Creo line. And I was pretty much, when he would do a whole bunch of panels, I would reenact those panels, but with the actual Creo product. And when I was doing this, I didn't know that he was seeing what I was doing at the time. We fast forward to, I think it was the Bokkon the following year in 2014, and he came up to me. He's like, hey, you're that guy that does, you know, the photography of my art. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And we got to know each other over that weekend. Obviously, there was a little bit of a language barrier, but his English was pretty serviceable. And we hung out, and there's this great image. I'm going to try to post it. It was all the people that have done creative stuff with Transformers pretty much in one photo. And it was just like, it was me, it was Josh Perez, Josh Burcham, Casey Collar, Derek Wyatt was there, Robbie Musso, Thomas Deere, Matt Frank, Marcelo. I know I'm forgetting somebody. I think Logan was there too. But Hayato was there too, and it was such a great evening. We were all hanging out. They were all drawing. At one point, they were giving, because Bokkon was known for giving out these little sketch cards, and at one point, like, everyone in that little gathering, everyone drew Proto Man and gave it to me, and that was really cool. I still have that little collection of them. That was really awesome. But so I was hanging out with Hayato and talking with him, and it was just mind-blowing. You know, someone across the globe sees like something that you work on in a completely different language that you're normally used to. And we kind of made that connection. We would talk every single year at Bokkon, and we would talk all over Twitter all the time. And he was just a really, really cool dude that just had so much talent. He got his first real big break in a lot of ways, I feel. Was because, I mean, again, he came to Bokkon. He helped Bokkon with some of their like online advertising for their toys and stuff. So that he did a little comic with them. And his first like big comic break, where it was like a cover to cover comic, was he did the Bokkon 2014 comic, Hoist the Flag. Now that was a bit of a controversial book. Some people were just hating because of how he draws female characters, and I'm not one of those people, because haters be hating. Don't hate the player, hate the game, as I always say. And I was always taking his back, and, you know, some people hated that I took his back, but those people always never saw what a Japanese manga looked like either. It's a whole different culture, a whole different world. I mean, go back and listen to my segment about the Flame Toys Windblade, and you'll get the whole spiel on that in a lot of ways. And that was in 2014. And then at the end of 2014 was his biggest break, and what probably made him famous with a lot of people was when he was brought on to do the Transformers Legends toy line and manga, to write, to draw, to do, like, he was just, it's the Sakamoto line pretty much. And what it was is everything that we were getting in Generations over here, whether it be Thrilling 30 or even the Universe 2.0 stuff, it was being imported into Japan, given the Transformers Legends title, and he would do the box art, he would do the manga that was included, he'd write the stories in each manga. It was just, it was great stuff. It really was. And he would go on to do that for a solid 5 years, nonstop, just, and he used it as a platform to fill in the gaps of Generation 1 story and plot holes and stuff, and just doing the good work that he should have always been doing. And during that time, during that 5-year stint, he also worked on the United Warriors line, which was pretty much what Combiner Wars was in Japan. And during that, again, doing all kinds of original art, stories, and manga pages and related to that. And of course, he would create some characters out of it. 5 new female characters in that of the Megatronia Combiner, with Mega Empress and Luna Club and Moonheart and Tricky Diamond and I think it was Flow Spade, something like that. Again, an amazing set. If there's one set you have to buy of the Combiner Wars stuff, that is the one. What a great little box set. And it would not end for him. He would get a whole bunch of guest artist appearances on the Morta Meets the Eye comic book with IDW during 2015, 2016. And it would just keep going and going. His talent was giving him all these different opportunities then to work within the Transformers brand when he was just a fan, just literally a couple years prior to that. And I think like what was really cool too, that really cemented it, was when they did the Mazinger Z Transformers crossover book in Japan in 2019. He did the entire first chapter of that book, and the person that he was the assistant for, Yuki Ashima, only did the cover. So it's kind of like, you know, how the apprentice became the master in a lot of ways. He really moved up the food chain just because of his talents and his writing skills too. Like, he's an amazing writer. He's really good with lore. And then on top of that, he's an amazing artist. And it just continued and continued for him. And in recent years, after pretty much, again, because the Legends mangas went from 2014 to 2019, when the Legends mangas ended, he did this epilogue story, and everyone thought, oh, is this the end of Sakamoto? No. just the beginning, still more. 2019 to the present, he was doing all the Generation Selects special manga stories. So the Seacons, Super Megatron, God Neptune, Volcanicus with the Dinobots, Abominus, and now we have all this crazy stuff now going with the colors of Cybertron and the Gold Rodimus. He is just, and again, the stories, the craziness, the mixing up of stuff. He plays with the toys. He knows what could be mixed and matched, and you can have a good time with your figures. He's a hardcore fan. And that's the thing, is when you have Transformer fans that are creators, sometimes you have ones that are, they're fans, but they're not like super hardcore ones. They're just people that enjoy the fiction or they enjoy drawing it. He's just one of those fans from every aspect. He's a hardcore fan. And on top of that, he's a great artist and writer. So that's just this great trifecta of things that he possesses. And every time I've hung out with him, a super chill, relaxed, funny individual in a fish out of water on the other side of the globe hanging out with us dumbasses. I'm reminded of like the Bokkon 2015 Hall of Fame dinner, where it was me, Hydra's Andrew Hall. He's the one who did the copyright for Transformers Prime in Japan, as well as the Generations and the United X stuff. I mention his name a lot of times. Andrew's a good friend of mine too. Jaws D was with us, Ultra Primal, Larry. I know I'm forgetting people. I think also John was with us too. It was an absolutely super fun evening, and we were all hanging out at the Hall of Fame dinner. Just a great time. I that's the one thing I really miss about Bokkon, is having all the Japanese guys come down and we all hang out together. Oh, Tomoya was with us too. Now I'm remembering. Oh, how could I forget Tomoya? Tomoya is also one of those like fanzine kind of creators. He did the Unicron no Kikan story, which was the return of Unicron. Really good little manga story too that he wrote. Good stuff. All great stuff. Super talented people. I'm in awe of these people because all I've ever done is copyright writing, bio writing, and some comic book writing. When you start messing with people who do that and they could draw, I'm in awe of them. I always am. They're super talented guys. And Sakamoto is just like that top of the food chain on the Japanese side of thing, because he's just done so many great things. And he just has that same line of thinking that I do, which is always diving deep into the lore and pulling something up and having some fun with it. And that's just the great stuff about him. And that's, as it stands right now, his next release is going to be from the Transformers Generations special comic books. Finale Chapter 2 will hopefully be coming out either this month or next month. And we'll see where the future brings for Sakamoto, because a talented guy like him, he doesn't hang on the shelves. He just keeps going and going, and there's more stuff to be done. So awesome stuff. Again, check out his stuff. Probably the easiest way to see a lot of his stuff is if you find the wiki. There's links to everything that he's practically done, I would imagine. And then because a lot of his stuff was either put online or translated, there's availability to read his stuff and to see all his crazy stuff. He's just a very good artist. Look, he loves to draw the female characters, but I mean, any manga artist, any crazy manga artist is good at drawing the female form. That's just their art style over there. And he gets ragged on for it, but that's really the standard on that side of the world. So don't rag on him for how he draws female characters. It's cute, it's fun, it's great, it's awesome stuff. I love Sakamoto. Once again, my hat off to him, and I can't praise him enough. And I guess probably JM Autobot's question comes up because I probably talk about him quite a bit. Because when I refer to the Transformers Legends toy line and how amazing it is, I always call it the Sakamoto line, because it really was all him. In the same way that, like, when we look at Transformers Animated, we associate it with Derek Wyatt and his art style and all the stuff that he breathed into that, and his writing and his concepts. Sakamoto's the same with the Legends line, and he's filling in the gaps of the past of Generation 1, of Beast Wars and everything like that. So thanks for the question, JM Autobot. Any excuse to talk about Sakamoto is always welcome. And if you want to be a patron just like JM Autobot, patreon.com/Protoman. Come join the Transformers Slag podcast, hang out, and talk about these talented guys over and over. And all the other talented ones I just mentioned in this segment too. There's so many talented guys I get to know in the world that I don't get to praise them enough. They're such great guys.